Hi, I'm Bobby from Geeky Bobbin. I'm working on one of the most painful tasks in the pantheon of patchwork, lining up lots of tricky points all on a single seam. My glitch quilt pattern has a ton of them. So I'm gonna show you how I work on them to make them a little bit less painful. Come take a look. There's lots of different ways to do this. Some of them involve poking pins through from both sides and then keeping the pins sticking straight up. Some of them involve drawing on the back of your patchwork. There's so many different ways you can do this. I'm going to crank my stitch length all the way up, line up the edges of my fabric, and I'm gonna baste the whole thing. Now when I open this up, we're looking at this seam right here. That's off by 1/8 of an inch. That one is perfect. This one here, that's okay. That one is close. This one here, that's off by 1/8 of an inch. That one's pretty good. And that one's off by a bit more than I like. So I'm gonna rip out the ones that I don't like and I'm going to redo them. So I've ripped out a couple of stitches just right here on that one seam I didn't like, and I'm going to try and do it again. See if I can fix this. I'm just gonna give it a shot. Still using just a basting stitch. Let's see. Nope, still wrong. I'm gonna pull it back out. Okay, so these two seams are overlapping too much. If I move my seam in a tiny bit towards the middle of the block, then they'll be overlapped less. So let me give that a try. Looks like I went a little too far that time. Okay, so I'm gonna rip that out. I'm gonna try again. I'm making an indent with my fingernail or with the back end of my seam ripper, the dull end, mind you, of my seam ripper. So that way I can see where the seam from the bottom block sits. Just get that thread out of there. So if I can see it on top, then I'll know where this seam that I can see on the top block needs to intersect the bottom block. I want this seam to be where those two cross. So can you see it? Can you see that little shadow right there? It's a lot easier to see in person, but I can see it as I'm stitching. And so I can try my hardest to get that new seam that's joining the blocks to intersect those two. Okay, let's take a look. That is quite close to perfect. I'm calling that done. So what I'm gonna do now, since this is just basted, is I'm going to do a proper seam with a regular stitch length, like a 2, so that way it won't fall apart, because you can see these stitches are really loose. So my stitch length is back to a normal length, and let's see if I can get my needle to go exactly in the same spots. So that turned out pretty well. This right here is the seam that we just corrected like 3 or 4 times. Not so bad, not so bad. Now you've got 64 blocks to put together on all 4 sides.
only about half of those sides are like this. Have fun trying to get your seams perfect. Don't drive yourself crazy. Remember, this is supposed to be fun. So if you're like me and you really, really like to get them perfect and you get a huge amount of satisfaction out of that 4th try working out, awesome. I hope that this helped you. If you don't get a kick out of that, if the previous 1/8 of an inch off is okay for you, I'm not gonna come and check your quilt. So if it makes you happy, it makes me happy. All right? So now go out there and tackle all of those seams to your satisfaction, not mine. And I'll see you soon.
If you like the look of the glitch quilt, you can head over to geekybobbin.com and join the glitch along. From August 19th to October 27th, a huge group of us are going to be making this quilt together. You can also head over to my Instagram page and check out #glitchalong to see some inspiration from other makers. Hope you'll join us. Happy stitching.
Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And leave a comment down below. This is not my favorite part. Except that I'm kind of masochistic, so I guess it is my favorite part. Favorite fart. That's going on the blooper reel.